Hey, on my Travel Wins podcast today, I'm lucky to have Kathryn McCann. How are you today, Kathryn?
I'm doing great.
Excellent. Kathryn is the founder and CEO of Hang Zen Yogis. I hope I said that right. I think I did.
You certainly did.
The company's based in California, and you're in Hawaii most of or a lot of the time, I guess.
This year, I have found myself in Honolulu, Hawaii, more so than anywhere else, which is always a good thing.
I was going to say, well, poor you.
Yeah.
I was really intrigued to talk to you because I think corporate wellness is maybe a subject that's becoming more popular, but definitely in the last 20 or 30 years, it wasn't that popular.
Exactly.
And now it's trending up, yeah.
Yeah, which is exciting for me because it's interesting that California is at the forefront of anything progressive in terms of corporate wellness, but you start to go to some of these other cities outside of California, and it's like an untapped market. So it's been really interesting coming to Honolulu, where they have a little bit of corporate yoga and wellness, but it's really something new for this city, which is exciting to be the first person to bring it here.
Exactly. And if you're going to pick a place to start, Honolulu is not terrible.
I chose wisely, I have to admit. I mean, I've just always had a draw to the islands, and I used to live here, so coming back here was effortless just in terms of getting around and already having the connections. And Hawaii always welcomes you back with open arms, which is really nice.
Well, and being, going from San Diego to Honolulu, you still have some of the traffic, so you're not too far off. It's kind of it's really similar.
The two cities are so similar, with throwing the shaka, no worries, and everyone for the most part is pretty easygoing in both places. So I'm super blessed.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a long commute, but it's not too bad of a commute.
It's not bad at all. Honestly, I flew here this week from San Diego, and you're on Hawaiian Airlines, you watch a couple movies, and then boom, all of a sudden you're on a rock out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
I know.
It happens so quickly.
It's part of my territory, and it's the part of the territory that my wife is always available for. When I have my Hawaii trip, she's like, "Hey, I'm open that week." I go, "I didn't tell you what week it is."
All of a sudden, my schedule is completely free whenever you go to Hawaii.
Like, well, I got to go to North Dakota. I'm busy.
Yeah. I have things I have to do this week.
Yeah, that's not going to work for me. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's the luxury of having to choose. I don't get to choose. I just have to go.
Right.
Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it's not too bad.
Yeah, you go wherever the work is. I mean, I'm actually going to be expanding to San Antonio, Texas in January 2020, and that's completely uncharted territory for me. I've actually never been to Texas. So I'm going to start traveling there and auditioning instructors and finding the right people to plug into the equation for corporate wellness there. But I'm excited, because I've just been splitting my time between San Diego and Honolulu. So this is completely new for me.
San Antonio is nice. Obviously I'll have to get you some cowboy boots for yourself.
I want some cowboy boots. Let's do it.
Make that happen.
Yeah, definitely.
But I was going to ask you, what other cities, what other areas were you looking at? Because it seems like if you put the network together and you have the system, it's just a matter of finding good instructors.
That's exactly it. And this is very new to me personally because I've been teaching yoga for the past decade. So it wasn't until the beginning of this year in January I stepped away from teaching and, plugged other instructors into the classes that I had been teaching to then step outside of my role as yoga instructor to play more CEO and kind of founder of this and spread it to different cities. But the way that I'm expanding to San Antonio, Texas is with the company, my largest client based out of San Diego. So sometimes it's nice that, you've been with these companies, this particular company, I've been with them for 7 years. So to be able to grow with the company is really exciting as they expand to different cities.
So what is the premise behind what you do and what your instructors are teaching?
Yeah, so we primarily do on-site yoga and wellness classes for employees. So the business model is unique in that it is mobile. There's no overhead. We work specifically on site, so it could be, a gym, or sometimes we're in a conference room. Sometimes we're outside. I mean, you name it. I've taught in between cubicles where people are typing away and, having phone conversations. We're conducting classes 2 feet away from someone's office. Yeah, so it's been very unique and very makeshift. And then over time, they realized that these programs are successful. And, now at some of these corporations, they've built us yoga studios on site. So we're doing awesome yoga, all genres of yoga. We do hatha yoga, we do vinyasa, yin yoga, restorative. And now just this year, we're starting to tap into meditation and sound healing, which is really the jam. If you've never done a sound bath, this is where it's at. And it goes hand in hand with the title of my company, Hang Zen, which is a play on words with Hang Ten and surf culture. So it's just kind of finding your happy place, the pinnacle of joy. So a lot of these employees are really stressed out, and, they're working these 8 to 10 hour shifts behind a cubicle, behind a computer all day. So to be able to step away from their work to do some breathing and stretching and harmonize mind, body, and spirit has been really powerful in the corporate world.
I'm trying to, I guess, as a corporate person, are you able to quantify to the wellness people or the HR people that you're talking to, like how much more productivity? Can you quantify how much productivity you're getting out of it?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to put an exact price tag on what we're doing, but the results have been astronomical. So, I think the HR department or the CEO is realizing that these employees are a lot more productive. They're a lot happier. They're a lot healthier. The healthcare costs are reducing. Maybe the turnover rate is less. So there's been a lot of benefits to starting these corporate yoga programs or corporate wellness programs on site for these employees. And not only that, it's a win-win in that it's a free service. So it's not like they're paying in to these
extra, right?
Yeah, it's a free service. So it's a perk for the employees. They feel valued, they feel appreciated, and then therefore they're more loyal to the company.
Yeah, that's awesome though.
And I mean, I've had my students say, honestly, it's time for me to leave this company, but I'm struggling with the decision because I love these classes, but the new company where I'm starting doesn't offer anything like this. So it almost is an incentive to stay with that company. So that's been interesting.
Yeah, what I've read is it's employees as a whole don't stay at a company just for the money.
Right.
It's the intangibles. How do they feel? How are they made to feel while they're at work? And I think providing
I think a lot
that
of it is the culture, and the overall happiness. And the connections, sometimes you come into these companies and it's really tense because maybe it's cliquey or they're not getting along with their boss or there's some conflict or tension. So to be able to come in and lighten the mood and spread positivity and, maybe have a theme of the day that's going to uplift somebody, we're creating connection amongst the coworkers. So it's more cohesive. It's a better environment for everyone. So that makes us really happy as well to be able to provide that service.
I don't know how much you traveled before, but now that you're going to be in Hawaii, San Diego, and San Antonio. Are you looking as a business owner? Are you looking at ways to save money, or is it just go?
My main goal is to affect as many people as I possibly can. So my main objective is to spread this to every city across the United States. It's really just partnering with companies that are open-minded and see the value in this. Whether that brings me to North Carolina, New York, Utah, I mean, you name it, I'll go wherever.
Right.
But it seems to really work well in California and Hawaii. But I don't see why we can't brand this on a much larger scale. I mean, my intention with starting this was never to scale it to this degree, but now that I'm starting to travel and network with the local instructors and healers, I'm realizing that this is something that I can do in every major city.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So that's exciting for me. It's not about the money, it's about affecting the livelihood of the employees.
Well, I didn't mean as far as earning money, but when you're in San Diego and you're setting this up, it's localized. But now, as a business owner, you're going, hey, do I fly in United only so I can get the points with United or Southwest or, you know?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, I'm always either flying Hawaiian or Alaskan, and trying to build the miles so that eventually some of these flights are paid for. But the flying, it does get taxing. And prior to that, I wasn't traveling at all. I've lived in San Diego the past 16 years. I was a professional ballet dancer prior to this, and never really had the opportunity to get on a plane and explore these different cities and these different opportunities. So this is kind of happening for me later in life, but better now than never.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a great experience, I think, for you, like you said, going to San Antonio and some of the other places. I think it's going to be awesome.
Exactly. And I've never been to Texas before, so I've heard great things about Austin, and I've heard great things about Dallas. And so not only am I able to expand my business and affect more people, but it's also simultaneously a really cool opportunity for me to explore different cities and kind of get out of my comfort zone, my little San Diego bubble that I've been in for so long now.
Yeah. And I think you'll find, Texas is like California.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you visit San Diego doesn't mean you can explain what Sacramento's like or San Francisco or Fresno. Exactly. I mean, there's so many varied people and lifestyles and careers. Texas is a big state.
I know. And something that I'm really excited about is and seeing what the yoga community is like there. So far, I've been pleasantly surprised. I mean, the yoga community is so open-minded and so loving, and so to be able to come to Hawaii and explore the talent here, it's exactly like what's going on in San Diego. So I'm interested in now going to San Antonio and figuring out what the yoga community looks like there. Is it the same as what's happening in these two cities, or maybe it's drastically different? I don't even know yet.
That's going to be exciting, though.
Oh, yeah. And to be able to bring this into my corporation there. And so it's going to be 3 different classes per week. We're having a lot of success with the sound healing and guided meditation and yin yoga, which is a more gentle form of yoga. So when I first started this, I come from a power vinyasa background. Basically, that's a more athletic style of yoga, a little bit more endurance-based. I was always trying to push my students outside of their comfort zones and get them to sweat and get them to work really hard. And I think that stemmed from my extensive ballet training, just always kind of pushing the body to these crazy limits. And so that's why when I first started teaching, and even when I first started teaching corporate yoga, I was really well known for being strict and being hard. And over the past 10 years, that's completely evolved. And now I'm realizing the corporate world is so stressed out that they don't need to be pushed physically. If anything, they need more of that like feminine kind of nurturing yin energy. They don't want to be forced outside of their comfort zone.
I agree with you on that. And to kind of give you a background with me, my wife is a Pilates instructor right now.
Oh, great.
With a non-professional ballet background.
Yeah.
I actually lost a bet and had to go to one of her ballet classes.
Oh, wow. Did you attend it or you just watched?
Oh, no, I was. Yeah, that was the bet was if I won the bet, she was going to have to do a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class with me.
You're a Jiu-Jitsu guy.
If she won, I had to take a ballet class. So yeah, I learned releve and first position.
Yeah.
Fifth position and.
Yeah, it's so crazy too because there's actually this parallel between ballet and yoga. So it was a really natural progression to go from the dance world into the yoga world. It's all movement and breath based, which is really what I'm so passionate about in life. So I'm glad you got to experience it. How was it?
I didn't mind it.
Okay.
I've been athletic most of my life, so it wasn't completely out of the box. But yeah, it was definitely the instructor's name is Palma. She's more of a Russian ballet background.
Oh, yes. I know it very well.
Very strict.
My first ballet instructor was Russian. This was in New York, and she literally used to beat us with a stick. So at the age of 6, I learned how to pay attention and respect my elder and, and be super disciplined at a really young age. And I think that set the tone for the rest of my life. Yeah,
it's strange how, because I grew up playing football. And it was like most coaches, especially back in my era, I'm older now. I guess they have to be friendlier now. But back when I was a kid, it wasn't. I remember my high school coach was like, I think it was my junior year going to varsity. He was like, I'm not your friend. I don't really care about your problems unless it's going to affect how it affects my football team.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Strictly business,
Yeah, this is high school. I'm 15 years old going, what the hell?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can definitely relate to that. I mean, obviously ballet is so different than football, but it does require a certain level of dedication and commitment, and discipline is really the word that comes to mind.
I think the yoga part with like you said, the breathing and the relaxing part, I think is probably the nice part about it. That's what I envision with it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this has just completely evolved for me within the past decade. Now I find so much joy in slowing down the pace, and maybe that's just me evolving and maturing and getting older, but I much prefer the slower practice and the mindfulness and the breathing techniques and the deeper stretching than I do the power vinyasa flow. I mean, when I first started yoga, it was actually here in Hawaii, ironically enough, and I was studying Bikram, and I remember getting yelled at. But that's just because the teacher probably saw that I was willing to push my body and he kind of honed in on me and would just tear me apart.
Yeah.
But that's that style of yoga, which I don't condone. But, so in the corporate world, we're doing something totally different. And it's a good thing.
But now that you're going to be traveling even more, obviously starting in January.
Yes.
What kind of do you have any thoughts or concerns about? I mean, you're going to be spreading yourself thin with your friends, families, or loved ones, whoever you're trying to spend time with. Now your time's going to be even more spread out. How do you plan on balancing that?
That's a great question, and I've always struggled with that. Actually, is maintaining this balance of upkeeping, your personal life and making sure that you're not spreading yourself too thin, and visiting family and being there for, your significant other or your friends. And I think it's a really find balance between the two. I do feel as though it is feasible, but I would say that because I've dedicated so much time and energy towards growing my business and being successful, that it has, my personal life has suffered, in terms of getting married and having kids. And, I'm almost 40 now. So it's like that window of opportunity, starts to become a little bit less. But I do feel as though there is a really beautiful dichotomy between the two. And I know that will happen for me on all levels. But yeah, I think the way I foresee the future is being based out of San Diego, making that home base, and then traveling to Oahu or traveling to Texas, or wherever anyone's willing to start a corporate yoga program. But really having a home base has been key for me personally. When you're just on the road 24/7, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't set anybody else up for success. And then, someone's always feeling neglected or, not catered to.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. With technology, I think it's a lot easier now than it was 20, 30 years ago. But, it's, when you're on the road, you're on the road.
Exactly.
But
yeah.
When you're traveling now, because going from San Diego to Hawaii is what, a 3.5, 4 hours?
It's 5.5 hours.
Yeah. What do you do to fill that time? Are you listening to music?
Yeah, I'm
movies?
more of a music, movie fan. Music is so key for me, just being a dancer. Music's actually everything to me, and that's been one of the really rad aspects of being a yoga instructor, is coming up with really fun playlists and exploring all genres of music and getting really good feedback about, oh, I love this song, what's this, So music has been life for me. And then obviously just filling the time with either reading a good book or, watching a movie. So
that's a nice long flight, and then you got to come back. But yeah, I love Hawaiian Airlines.
They're the best.
They're
so amazing. So they're one of the only airlines that still gives you that complimentary meal and, gives you the complimentary Mai Tai as you're flying into the islands. I think they go above and beyond to really cater to their passengers, which is why I've been so loyal to them. I was looking into flying to San Antonio in October, and I was looking at one of the airlines. I'll never forget this. I was just laughing about it. It was like, okay, well, here's the fee. And it ended up being this really reasonable fee. But what I didn't realize is that it didn't guarantee a seat on the flight. And it also didn't guarantee the cost of, your luggage. So I was like, let me get this straight. I'm basically just paying for the flight itself, but I don't even have my seat, and I don't, my luggage isn't guaranteed to get there. So I was like, that's kind of
important.
painful. Yeah, so sticking with an airline that, you really love and adore is key. Unfortunately, Hawaiian Airlines doesn't fly to Texas. I wish they did.
No, I hear you on that. Well, they have some restrictions, not restrictions, but I guess, a certain amount of them have to be Hawaiian. I forget the percentage number, but.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So I didn't even realize that. I love that.
Yeah, so they have to, I forget the percentage.
Okay. That's good information to have. That makes me like them even more.
There you go. And, because I tend to watch movies when I have those 5 to 6 hour flights.
Yeah.
And for me, if I'm traveling with my wife, I'll still watch, because we have different tastes. I like action movies, and she likes not action movies. So
exactly.
It's kind of nice. Kind of nice to fill the time and all that.
Yeah, and that's another great thing about Hawaiian Airlines is that, some of these other airlines, you get on the flight and it's like you have to pay even for some pretzels and some water, and let alone, a movie, whereas Hawaiian Airlines is still, everything's very complimentary. I was able to watch 3 movies on the way over here, and that didn't cost me anything. So there's something to be said about that.
I would love for more airlines to do things like that.
Yeah, nowadays it's like, next thing you know, they're going to charge you to go to the bathroom. I just feel like they're charging for everything.
So now you just gave them an idea.
Right.
I'm waiting for the little quarter machine on the door handle, that you have to put the quarter inside.
Exactly.
Anyways.
Another dollar.
What's your favorite part of travel, and what's your least favorite part?
I really struggle if there's a time change. I'm not good with that, but I don't think anybody is. Luckily, so the way it works with California to Hawaii, this time of year in the summer, it's a 3-hour time change, but as we're approaching the fall season and California will do the time change, Hawaii does not adhere to the time change. So then it's only 2 hours, which is doable. Yeah. But, I do struggle with that, and I think everybody does. And then...
But you had Texas.
Texas, I think, will only be 2 hours from California.
Yeah. But going from Hawaii to Texas, sometimes it'll be 5 hours.
Yeah, and I'm sure there will be some times where I might have to do that. Yeah. I'm here for the next few weeks. I'm developing a program with HMSA, Hawaii Medical Service Association, which I've been working on this project for 9 months. It's like some of these accounts fall into my lap so effortlessly, and then oftentimes, I'm really working hard to launch this program, and even after the trial, nothing's guaranteed. And I also have another interview, ironically, today with another company. They're the largest shipping company, so they basically sustain all of Hawaii with shipping in food and shipping in clothing and all the resources that it takes the Hawaiian Islands to sustain itself. So, I'm targeting some of these really big companies that don't have any wellness programs. So to be the first one up and running and to present this idea to some of these companies is really exciting. But I do think that, there will come a time where I might be in Hawaii and then have to travel somewhere else, maybe even the East Coast, because I would love to, I'm from the East Coast originally, so I would love to see this kind of on my home turf in New York or New England area.
Oh,
so the time change would be challenging because then it's 6 hours,
Yeah, well, you did it yourself moving to Hawaii. How dare you? You're not going to get a lot of sympathy from people for that one.
I know. What was I thinking? It's an awful idea.
Exactly. But it's all good. What's the best way for my listeners to find you and reach out to you?
Oh, just through my website, my hangzenyogis.com. That has my email and my phone number. And yeah, I love it when people reach out to me and inquire about, what we're doing and what it takes to get us on site and up and running. And now it's a well-oiled machine. When I first started this, it's funny because I always joke around and say entrepreneurship found me. It's not something that I'm dead serious. I had no intention of starting this. It literally fell into my lap. So it's an interesting journey in that, I was a dancer, and then my degree is in ballet. And so when you come from this background of ballet your entire life, I struggle with what else am I qualified to do? I never honestly had another job. My life was always in the performing arts. I was always, in the theater and performing, and so I've never worked behind a desk, or I've never had another job aside from teaching dance. So it's always working with kids and adults, and it's hard to know where to go after that. So once that career fizzled out, because at the age of 30 in the dance world, you're really old news. It's like being a gymnast. I mean, it's such a short career. And I'm super thankful. I performed professionally in Charlotte, North Carolina for Moving Poets Theater of Dance. And that was kind of like a fusion of ballet and the theatrical arts. And then I moved out to San Diego. I danced for SeaWorld. That was a dream come true. It really was. I was a professional mermaid in the Sea Lion and Otter show.
How cool
so I got to work with animals, and that's like a whole nother story. And then danced locally a little bit in San Diego I taught for California Ballet for many years, and danced with San Diego Dance Theater and Mojale and a couple, kind of more smaller scale companies in San Diego. But once that career was over, it's like, what do you do now? And so yoga was just this really natural progression and seemed like a good segue from the dance world. And after doing that for 10 years, I started Hang Zen Yogis 4 years ago. So it got to the point where I literally couldn't be at the same place at the same time, because corporate yoga, you really only teach 2 times a day, and that's in the middle of the day. I always refer to it as this like adult recess, kind of just like a glorified nap in the middle of the day, or just a reset, kind of that 12 to 1 time frame, or it's an after work activity. A lot of the times these corporations are offering it from like 5 to 6 o'clock at night as an added perk to finish out the day. And
that's
so
nice too, though.
Yeah, and you let traffic pass you by, and sometimes like my students will say, "Oh, I'm just here, because I didn't want to deal with the traffic," and I'm kind of like, okay, but I know that they really also want to be there to experience the many benefits of yoga. But so that's how the company started. I literally couldn't be at the same place at the same time, and then I started hiring my friends, like, hey, listen, like, I have this other corporation. I need to be there, but I'm teaching at this one. Can you go teach this for me and I'll pay you? And from there, it just escalated. And over time, I was teaching less and less and giving other instructors more opportunities. And then I started realizing, wow, I can actually step away from teaching altogether, which I never, ever in a million years thought I would be capable of doing, because my entire career revolved around me showing up and teaching the class. So it was just such a foreign concept to be able to fully support myself off of other people teaching for me. And now it's even more mind-blowing that it happens in 2 different cities.
Well, yeah, and don't forget that San Antonio.
Soon to be 3.
That's 3 months away. That's literally around the corner.
Yeah. I will be traveling to Texas over the next few months to start finding teachers that, to collaborate with and to work well with, which is a journey in itself, because I will say this. Sometimes I show up to these classes and I have high hopes, and they're just not the right fit for what I'm looking for.
Sure. Like I said, my wife's a Pilates instructor, so kind of it's very similar. I mean, and some instructors, some of her clients love her, and some like, Erin, or some will like the way the other girl teaches, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned that, because as these programs develop with these different companies, the way that I've personally designed it is that if we're doing yoga or, different forms of wellness Monday through Friday, which some of these companies, we are literally there 5 days a week, I'll literally have 5 different girls teaching. So it's nice in that sometimes certain employees gravitate towards different instructors, so it's almost like a yoga sampler, I call it, or like a beer flight. It's like choose your instructor that you personally like. So that's been kind of fun too, to design these different programs with a multitude of different instructors.
I'm no yoga expert, but I've heard of companies offering wellness programs. You know, they'll have a workout or whatever, but not yoga. I haven't heard of corporate yoga. So that's cool.
Yeah, it's a newer theory. I would say it's really become popular over the past 5 years. And okay. I honestly lucked out with starting this 10 years ago in San Diego. I was kind of at the forefront of it because at the time there was no competition. Now I find myself, unfortunately, training my competition, which is the nature of the beast, right? Yeah. So that's been a little bit challenging for me. It's like certain people that I've hired have gone on to start their own corporate yoga programs, which is to be expected. And I feel like there's enough corporations and enough money to go around for everyone. But it was nice in that when I first started this, there was no competition. No one else was doing it, which is why I've now gravitated outside of San Diego and targeting some of these cities that don't have it yet.
Yeah. I've heard different stories, but a lot of it. There are, I think, 7 Pilates studios within maybe a 5-mile radius of where we live right here.
Oh, yeah. Now, are you speaking of Matt Pilates, or are they on the Reformer?
She's on we actually have a Reformer in our back room. But
oh, there you go.
Yeah, the Reformer, the Cadillac. She learned the chair. The chair's a mother. I don't like when she experiments on me. She's like, "Hey, I need you to come down to the studio. I want to try some things out." I'm like, "Oh."
You're the muse.
Yeah. Because she knows I'll do it, but hey, come on, son. Yeah, but
and Pilates and yoga, there are some parallels there as well. So I can relate to that.
So there are 7 studios, and you think, oh my gosh, there's not that many people, and but Pilates, like yoga, I would assume is, different from instructor to instructor, much less studio to studio.
Yeah, in San Diego, there's a yoga studio on every block.
Yeah,
it's oversaturated. It's crazy. Whereas I think if you start to travel outside and, maybe I'm just going to make it up, go to like Wyoming, maybe there's only 1 or 2 different yoga studios, so it's kind of a newer concept in a lot of different towns across the United States.
Totally agree with that. So when can we expect you in Wyoming?
I don't know. I just made that up, but I'm happy to go. I've never been to Wyoming.
I would start in Cheyenne.
Okay. I'll see what big corporations are in Cheyenne, and then I'll take it from there. Because that's another thing, right? It's a matter of finding the right companies to collaborate with. So oftentimes these companies have to employ hundreds, if not thousands, of people in order to sustain this concept. And I often shy away from launching the program with some of these smaller companies, but ironically enough, the company that I launched with for the first time here in Honolulu only employs like 40 people, which I thought to myself, this isn't going to be successful. And you would be surprised. It's actually very successful here. So sometimes it's not, the size of the company. It's the mindset of the CEO. He's very, I guess the word I want to say is just progressive in his mindset of giving back to those 40 employees.
Have you ever, and I'm just shooting it, I'm literally just brainstorming here with you.
Yeah, let's do it.
Have you ever gone to a school district and said, hey,
teachers? Yeah. And that's a whole other bag of worms because that's really become popular as well, but it's controversial. Especially in San Diego, I know it's been very controversial.
Really?
Because you
don't want teachers you want them relaxed.
You do, but a lot of these faith-based organizations shy away from it because they think that yoga is going to, maybe persuade their child religiously. So there's been this debate on whether or not yoga is a religion, but you could go into a classroom and call it deep stretch or call it mindful movement and not say any of the Sanskrit, which is an ancient Indian language in which yoga is typically taught. So there are ways to go around it. Actually, here in Honolulu, the HMSA, the program that we're developing, they want to shy away from calling it meditation, so we're calling it mindfulness. They want to shy away from calling it yin yoga, so we're calling it deep stretch. We're making it a little bit more accessible to the everyday person, which I'm fine with. I mean, any way that we can get people to connect with themselves and develop a deeper understanding of themselves and be more compassionate towards themselves and other people, then we're on the right path. Because I don't know how you feel about it, but the world needs it.
But I totally agree. I mean, that's why I brought it up. I was thinking more towards the teachers and administrators. Like if you went to a school district and said, hey, at 3:30 or whatever, any teacher or administrator that wants to come in for your class or whatever, however you define it.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And it's already happening in the school systems. And, I think Hang Zen Yogis started off in the corporate world and continues to evolve in the corporate world. And I think that will always be my bread and butter. But I wouldn't be surprised if this, you see it in nursing homes, you see it in the school systems, you see it anywhere, really. I mean, people need this outlet desperately. And for me, that's what makes my job so rewarding. I do still teach occasionally, and I love to be able to walk into a room where, I walk into the room, there's 20 people, they're super stressed out. I can tell emotions are running high. There's a lot of tension. There's a lot of anxiety. There's maybe even a lot of depression. And then within an hour, I see this shift occur. And I'm like, what a gift to be able to bring this to people. And now to be able to hire other people to help with this vision, regardless of where it is. Because we all need to be moving in this direction of positivity, open-mindedness, compassion. I know that just the world in general, it's a scary place nowadays. So
that's what my wife enjoys about Pilates.
Yeah.
She's having a positive impact on people she works with.
Absolutely.
She's not just making a buck or, really providing people come to her with bad backs and bad hips and they leave feeling better.
Yeah, and that's another thing is that, we're all suffering from pain in some sort of a way where, maybe it's physical pain or maybe it's emotional pain or what have you. So to be able to make that transition and people are like, oh, my back feels so much better. I've been typing behind a desk all day and we're doing heart openers and legitimately breaking open the heart, so to speak. So it's been powerful. It's a form of medicine, I think, the healing arts. And as you can tell, I'm just so passionate about it. So I could talk for hours about it. But it makes me realize that I'm on the right path. I mean, what an amazing feeling to be so passionate about something and to be doing this for a living.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly right. I mean, I think as I'm in my early 50s now. So as I start to, my daughters are 24, 25, and I'm trying to give them life advice on being an adult, and I'm still figuring it out now too.
Right. Aren't we all?
Yeah. And that's, I remember I had the talk with my youngest daughter. She had just graduated college, and we went to a nice restaurant, and I said, look around. 40, 50 people. I go, no one in here has it figured out.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't matter if you're a celebrity worth $100 million, you're still what's next? What's this? What's that? What's my next role? What's my next song? Everyone's figuring something out about themselves.
Yeah, we're all just walking each other through life as best we can.
But guys, I was telling them, don't stress out that you don't have your dream job just yet.
Yeah. I mean, it's constantly evolving for me, and it's scary too. I will say this, it's because I'm like, what are you doing, Kathryn? Like, the more this expands, the more I have to pay my staff, obviously. So there's also the financial obligation to the people that work for me, which can be daunting at times because I'm like, I'm kind of comfortable where I'm at, but the larger this gets, the more I owe my staff money. But, I'm happy in that I'm creating job opportunities for people. I take a lot of pride in that. I never, ever in a million years thought that would be my role in life. And apparently it is. And, and also to give people an outlet to help other people. That's been really satisfying for me. I mean, my role nowadays is not teaching the classes, although if someone needs a sub and I'm in the area, I'll jump in a heartbeat. But my role nowadays is I'll stop in and kind of assist these classes. And that's been really rewarding for me to just kind of sit back and watch the instructor do what they do and see the effect that it has on these employees.
It's interesting to switch roles, though, isn't it?
It's been crazy. This year, 2019, has been the biggest transition for me ever in my life.
Awesome, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm the same way. I mean, I have my day job. I love my job. I make great money, more money than I ever expected to make. I get to travel. When I'm not traveling, I'm at home working out of my home office. And then I stupidly, brazenly decided to start a podcast.
I love it, though.
with zero experience of recording, of editing, of anything. So it's been a complete blast, though.
Yeah, and it's, and it's something that you develop later on in life. And I think it's, probably a passion that developed into this career. And sometimes these things just fall into our lap. I swear to God.
It just happens.
Yeah. It's nice when it kind of orchestrates so effortlessly like that, because I don't know about you, but there's been other areas of my life where I'm trying so hard to make it work. And it's just like, what are you doing? Like, if it's not working, it's not working. Move on, try something new.
Well, I'm going to definitely share this episode with my niece. She's a professional dancer in Paris right now. And
Incredible.
She got her BFA from Fordham in New York.
Oh, okay. That's ironically enough, that's one of the schools I was considering.
No, exactly. So she's been a dancer her whole life, and she's getting up there in the years. I think she's 27, 28 now.
Right.
And it's starting to hit her. Like, what am I going to do next?
This would be a perfect podcast to share with her, because she's probably getting to that point where she's at a crossroads, and people can dance into their 30s, most definitely. But I will say this, it's very taxing on the body. I mean, any athlete that's doing something, a repetitive motion over and over and over again, there's going to be some wear and tear naturally. So I think, you get to the point where you're at a crossroads, and then it's kind of like, okay, what's the next chapter in life for me?
Well, yeah, I mean, she hasn't been you can look at her and go, oh, she's been a professional dancer for just a few years, but she's been dancing since she was 10, 9, so she has 20 years of dance beatings on her body.
Absolutely.
That's a long time. That's just like football players I talk to. I talk to NFL guys that are 26 retiring. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But they've been playing since they were 6.
Yeah. My family laughed at me when I was 30. I was like, I'm retiring. They're like, now what? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to figure it out, though.
You better.
Not really qualified to do much of anything but ballet, but I'll figure it out.
And you did.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I truly appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
anytime I can talk to somebody in Hawaii, it's awesome.
Hopefully
I'll be going back there next
year.
year.
Those aloha vibes.
Exactly. And get down and watch some volleyball if you get a chance.
Yeah, I definitely want to check that out. Thank you for recommending that.
Well, hey, like I said, I will definitely share your website and all the information. So any corporate human wealth, HR, human wellness people are interested, you can definitely hit you up and please get some ideas.
I appreciate it. Thank you for spreading the word, and thank you for taking the opportunity to hear my story.
Pleasure was all mine. So, have a great weekend, and hopefully we'll stay in touch.
You too, Pete. Have a good one.
Thanks, Kathryn. Appreciate it.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.